Good morning, my dear friends. Imagine the coming summer, the heat, the beautiful sun, and in the evening you're standing in the garden with a hose watering your plants so they can thrive and feel as pleasant as possible. For some people, yes, but for others it's a bit of a waste of time. That's why I decided to prepare a list of 7 plants for you that are real terminators among plants. 7 plants that are resistant to drought. I've already shown them during my trips as part of the WOW Garden project this year, but now I'll show them to you again and talk about them, and you'll see how amazing these plants are. Before I start talking, I want to ask you right away to write in the comments which of these plants is a discovery for you, and if you have any other plants that you recommend, specifically for those very sunny, gravelly spots, because those are exactly the kinds of plants I'll be talking about. And of course, I'd like to remind you that many of you watch this channel but still haven't subscribed, and for me, subscriptions are like fuel. And on top of that, I promise that when I reach 200,000 subscribers, I'll do a project that will basically be available to everyone, and everyone will be able to participate in it. So contribute your part to make this project happen. The first plant is thyme, which creates a fragrant carpet in the garden, a fantastic plant that we got to know in Katarzyna's garden. Kasia told me that she replaced a spiky bird feeder with it, which used to grow on her path because it constantly needed watering, while thyme in this form basically doesn't need watering at all. It does great in gravel beds like this. It can grow in rocks, it can grow between stones, and of course it does very well in the sun, and in fact it should really be grown in the sun. It will also do fine in the shade, but remember that if you plant it somewhere in deeper shade it might get leggy. It will bloom less, and of course the scent will be less intense, but when it does bloom it's a fantastic sight. It blooms in June and July with lilac purple flowers. It's actually an evergreen shrub that does really well here during the winter. It just needs to not be planted in places where water stands, because in winter water is more dangerous for it than frost. What does it look like? It has beautiful gray silver leaves, and that kind of color in the garden means don't water me, because most plants with that kind of color and structure are like that. It does very well in full sun and in these kinds of gravelly conditions. Its fuzzy petals and fuzzy stems, those little hairs actually reflect sunlight really well and keep it from heating up too much. Lychnis doesn't tolerate standing water, so keep that in mind when choosing a spot for it. For example, combined with delicate grasses like stipa, because those gray stems topped with magenta flowers go really well with such delicate, subtle grasses. The next plant, Verbena bonariensis, is a real hit this year. Everyone already knows Verbena patagonica, and many gardeners have fallen in love with it, but there are also other varieties of Verbena, and Verbena bonariensis is one of them. It's like a cousin of Verbena patagonica, but smaller in size, and it's exactly this smaller size that makes it a fantastic plant. It works very well for edging, covering the edges nicely. Rawat grows up to 30-16 inches, and most importantly, it blooms from the beginning of July until the first frosts. And when it comes to frost, that's its biggest weakness, so to speak, because sometimes it doesn't overwinter very well. If you live in warmer regions where the winter isn't so harsh, then veined verbena will do just fine. However, in areas where there's more frost, you can try covering it, but don't worry, it will still bloom. Because if you provide it with the right conditions, plenty of sunlight and well-drained soil, it will definitely reward you with fantastic self-seeding. And the following year, young seedlings will spread and bloom just as beautifully as they do in Basia's garden, because it was in Basia's garden that we saw veined verbena, also known as Verbena rigida. Let us know if you were familiar with this variety of verbena. I think this is an absolute hit of the year, so introduce it to your gardens. The fourth suggestion is sedums in various forms. You also saw them at Basia's place, who showed them to me. On her rock garden, a rock garden that basically has no soil, just stones and a bit of sand. All other plants would basically burn up there in the summer, but the sedums feel like they're on vacation. And it's exactly the fact that they grow in such terrain that gives them an advantage over most of the plants on this list. They look fantastic combined with a variety of smaller and larger grasses, because we have both shorter and taller sedums, and remember, the most important thing is that if they have less water, they become stiffer and more resilient. This is a plant that shows its charm from the very beginning, with its nice fleshy leaves, but it looks best when it has inflorescences, because those inflorescences are like a pillar of the autumn garden. It's nice not to cut them in the fall, to leave them for the winter, because in winter the spectacle they create in the garden is truly an amazing experience. The frost that settles on these flowers looks fantastic. So another plant that's a real survivor that doesn't need watering and basically doesn't even need soil is the sedum. Remember and let me know if you have them in your garden. The next plant is Yucca carolinska, which is a real architect in any flower bed. Many of you probably consider it an old-fashioned, outdated plant that has been in many Polish gardens for a really long time, but actually Yucca carolinska, exactly in a place where there is gravel soil, lots of sun and a lack of water, it works best because it has a very extensive, massive root system that stores a lot of water. This plant, even though it can go without watering for months, will still show its fantastic flower clusters in June and July, where even on 2-meter flower stalks there are hundreds of beautiful creamy bells. It's worth noting that the Carolina yucca is an evergreen plant and decorates the garden all season long with its green leaves. Additionally, it works very well as a solitaire, meaning a single plant growing on a gravel bed. And around it, smaller, more delicate plants that will soften the look of the heavy architectural form of the Carolina yucca. Next plant, Acanthus. I told you there would be a surprise. Acanthus is a real king of explosion. At Basia's garden she confessed to me, Hubert Lemansky. I have to limit it every year because it's capable of taking over this whole flower bed. Be careful, a plant that is capable of taking over a dry gravel flower bed. In such a garden it's a treasure because there are places where nothing wants to grow, and Acanthus looks like a true ruler there. A fantastic plant that blooms in June and July, has very interesting leaves and even more interesting exotic inflorescences. But be careful, as I mentioned, once it settles in and starts to spread, Acanthus can become very invasive. It may be a less well-known plant for the garden, but it works great as a secondary element in flower beds, in front of which we can plant smaller plants, smaller perennials, and smaller evergreen plants. It's really worth taking a closer look at it and considering whether you might want to have such a super exotic plant in your own garden. And if you already have it, let us know if you have the same problem as Basia, that you need to keep it under control. The last plant on the list is Mikolajek, which is like a punk rock garden creature. Beautiful form, beautiful shape, and it looks great combined with yellow elements. You could see this in Yucca's garden, where Mikolajek combined with yellow yarrow looked really good. I dare say that the combination of steel blue with yellow this season will really be a hit and will appear in many gardens. Until now, this combination may not have been so popular, but I think that's the direction we're heading, towards such contrasts. Mikolajek cannot tolerate being transplanted. Remember that it has a very long taproot, so once it's planted in one place, just leave it alone. Don't move it from time to time. If you leave it, it will definitely reward you with beautiful inflorescences, which even after drying have a kind of steel violet blue color. I probably don't need to say that Mikolajek loves the sun, and he can't stand water, especially the water that appears during the autumn and winter period. So water stagnation in the soil, it's absolutely not suitable for places with clayey soil. However, if you want to have your own Mikolajek and you have that kind of soil, all you need to do is dig a very, let's say, deep hole and replace the soil with a gravelly sandy mix, adding some of the native soil, and I think it will manage just fine. It looks fantastic when combined, for example, with Echinops and with yarrow in that yellow color. Did you notice the common features among these families? Of course, a high resistance to lack of water, and I would even say that they don't really like too much water. So the most important thing if you want to introduce these plants into your gardens is to remember about proper drainage. We replace the soil if it's not suitable, don't overdo it with watering, and that's basically 100% of it. These plants love the sun, so we choose places for them where the sun shines for a long time. Let me know in the comments which of these plants will make it into your garden this year.